All right, guys, welcome back to Grit Gym. Today we got an interview going with Tim, and Tim owns a gym out in what is it?
Concord, California. So San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah, but is it north side of San Francisco?
Oh, we're East Bay.
Upper East Bay. Okay.
Yeah.
Upper East Bay, San Francisco. How long you had it?
8 years.
And you've been training people. How long did you train people before that?
So total probably about 14 years now.
14 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time. And then you got your career is going like I'm just about to hit the 10-year mark actually.
Okay.
No. Yeah, this will be this. I'm at 10 years right now.
All right. Nice. Congrats.
Thanks. It's cool. So Tim's here. We're gonna talk a little bit about adherence and getting yourself to do what you want, even when you don't necessarily want to do it, and forgiving yourself when you do make errors. For instance, we call he's gonna have some different verbiage for you guys, but please take the time to hit share and share this out. And also, when you guys hit that button, it's gonna stream bits of goodness across the screen for us to see, and it's really fun. So, but share this out, weigh in on the comments, ask questions. This is a good opportunity to ask someone besides me questions, so you get maybe a different answer that hopefully clicks with you. You know, you can a lot of the time when coaches are talking to you, you're getting one type of verbiage, and all you got to do is hear it this other way over here, and it clicks, and everything goes well. So make sure that you're weighing in on today's call. But Tim, what are some ways that you guys find that work well for you with adherence and the things that you implement that to help people out with their goals?
So I think one of the biggest things one of the biggest mistakes people make is they rely on motivation. So they're not always going to be motivated toward their goals. So that's one thing I think when people say I'm not motivated to do something, that's normal. It's a normal. It's going to happen all the time, and it happens to a lot of people. So one of the biggest things to overcome that motivation problem is accountability. So when you're holding someone accountable, it doesn't matter whether you're motivated or not, because you're sharing your goals in the process with someone who's going to hold you accountable, whether it's your coach, whether it's your friend. So that accountability is really what is more important than any perfect diet or anything like that, because it's what's going to help you to be consistent. Because when you're not motivated, that accountability is what's going to keep you pushing forward.
Yeah, I'm super happy to hear you say that, actually, because I throw down on motivation all the time. I'm just like, it's bogus, it's bullshit. It's almost something that you use to escape what you actually want to have.
Right.
Like when I'm talking about to people, I'm like, how do you feel when you're motivated? Like when we eventually get down to it, it's like focus and discipline. It has nothing to do with motivation. Right. So, like from my perspective, anyway. I don't know if you find that too, but yeah.
No, I also think if you just rely on motivation, then that's also an excuse not to do something when you're not motivated.
Yeah, it's
that's
like
your go-to.
Like I don't feel like getting up and going to work today. You still did it, right? You know, I don't feel like being a parent today. I don't feel like being a spouse today. I don't feel like eating today. Like, well, that's not going to work out for so long.
Exactly. Right. So, yeah. So I think that's one of the big things is what really, we want to make sure we understand what our clients' goals are and why they're important to them. But that is only going to work, so much. So what we try to do is we try them to get to either they're going to have to give us their goals basically, and we want to know whether they're going to commit to more or they're going to commit to less, or we do both.
Yeah, and to not judge either one of those. You know, like there's nothing wrong with taking. Like if you look at this is the way that I explain it anyway. Is like if you look at a baby step, like we call it a baby step, thinking it's this tiny little step, but to that baby, that's the biggest possible step that it's ever taken before. Right. This gigantic leap to the baby.
Exactly.
So like a little tiny step is still a baby step is still a big deal. I mean,
right.
Like if it's the thing that gets you going, it's like any start is better than no start.
Yeah. I mean, if you got, that's what I mean by the committing to less is the habit based. So if your habit is going to change to, some people say I'm going to cut sugar completely out. Well, that's not going to work, So
Yeah, it'll work for about 2 days until they start reading labels.
Yeah. So what we say is, okay, so instead of going for the all approach, just say keep eating what you're eating and only eat to your 80% full. So you're going to eat what you're eating, but you're going to eat less of it.
Yeah.
And that right there is a small step. It may not seem like it's going to make a big change, but it will eventually. But it's manageable.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like what we end up telling people is you get 2 choices. You're going to eat less or you're going to eat better, and you're just going to have to choose.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, getting someone to adhere to that is the big deal. Like when they start, they're so fired up and so gung ho and everything, and they don't realize they're not going to be like that in 2 weeks. They're going to be sore. They're going to be tired. They're going to be aching for a carbohydrate, and
right.
That low carb thing feels good right now, and they want to tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, so that's that's because we're what we're trying to do is set them up for longer term success. So weight loss, getting healthy is not a race, and I think most people treat it like that.
No kidding. Yeah. We were just talking, I was trying to talk about that yesterday about I think you should be in a hurry to get to your goals, but at the same time, you shouldn't be getting in a hurry to try to get to the end of your life sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
If
we don't put an end date on it, there's no power or there's much less power in it. But at the same time, if we're just rushing off to the end, to the finish line with no lifestyle change in the middle, then we got a problem.
And usually there is no finish line anyways, because once you reach one goal, there should be another because you're there. And I think a lot of times that's what people get lost in too. They think once I lose that 30 pounds, everything's going to be perfect now. And it's not the way it works. They're going to kind of feel empty and go, wait a second.
Yeah. It's like what's that comedian, Gaffigan?
Uh-huh.
When he has that stand-up routine where he talks about fit people. He's like talking about how he's on the treadmill and he sees all these people that are in really good shape walking to the gym, and he's like, what are you doing here? You're done.
Right.
And it's hilarious. I don't think people realize that it's this continual practice.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, totally is.
Yeah.
We don't really have that built into our, you don't have to break your back at your job anymore. We don't have it built into our lifestyle anymore. So we have to do something outside of our norms, I guess is what you call it. But yeah, I mean, this is a topic you just go on and on about. Cause even not in the weight loss department, in the strength department, I mean, we've had multiple people that'll come in and be like, I'm just not in the right mindset to lift heavy right now. And we're not even in a heavy phase. They're just kind of coming up with stuff to try to get out of their workouts. And one of the things that popped out of my mouth a few weeks ago was, what a coach does? He gets you to do things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them, or something. It was some version of that. And we both started laughing, and she was like, okay, I'll be in tomorrow.
No, I mean, we're here to inspire, we're here to inspire people to do things that they never thought they could do.
Yeah, no, that's the idea, right? Do you get, how many people do you get that they really don't believe that it's possible?
I'm sorry, say it again.
They don't believe that it's possible. They don't believe it's possible. They have this idea of what they want, but they don't know if it's possible. They're like, well, I'm fat and I'll always be fat, or I'm weak and I'll always be weak, or whatever.
I think we get, especially when people are starting, that's how they feel, because when they're because they're trying to, they're looking at it as not one step at a time. They're looking at it as I got so far to go. It's that mindset. And it's I got so far to go, I'll never get there. And that's because they're thinking of that doing a lot more kind of approach. I got to just overhaul my lifestyle right now. And if you do that, it's going to seem like you got a lot to do, because that's way too many habits. It's overwhelming, and it's like multitasking, and multitasking doesn't really lead to much, to be honest with you, especially, you don't get a lot done when you multitask.
Yeah, it's the idea that there's not really much logic behind more being better. More doesn't equal better equals better.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why one of our agreements that we have is constantly improve.
Yeah.
if you're already great at something, well, then you could get better. And if you're already good, you could get great. And like, it doesn't matter if you're like the worst at something in the world. Like you can always get stronger. You can always, you can always improve from wherever you are.
Right. And I always, and I always get, this when someone is disappointed that they lost 5 pounds in a month, right? Because that's not enough, right? And I'm like, well, that's 5 more pounds than you lost probably all last year. It's this mind, it's the media and what people get fed all the time that you should be losing 30 pounds in a month, these type of things. And it's really, I think,
and that could happen if you're at the Biggest Loser and you're stuck in a compound where they control everything that you eat and you work out for 6 hours a day. I mean, and even then, in that scenario, is that a healthy thing?
Right.
Yeah,
and it's something you can envision yourself doing for the rest of your life. No, it's not.
Yeah. What are you going to do when you go back home and you're with your family who has all your old habits? They live by the way that you used to eat, and you go to the job that you used to have. The store around the corner where you always get your fried chicken or whatever it is. Nothing is fried chicken. I don't know why I pulled that one out, but.
Right. But, I think the thing is that you have to teach, people need to have strategies. And a lot of times if we're doing programs, something like I don't have a problem with challenges, but there has to be the mindset has to be, this is the beginning of something else, and that we're building strategies and habits. So you're not expected, I know when I do challenges, we're working on habits. If there's people that want to take on more, we let them. But all we're looking for, like you said, we want you to improve every day, because by the end of the 6 weeks, you're going to be a lot better than you were 6 weeks ago.
Right. And by challenges, guys, what he's talking about is like a fitness challenge. If you were like, we do a 100 fit workout challenge and a 50 workout challenge.
Right.
So a certain time frame, and you're trying to fit in 100 workouts during that time frame. And the idea is that you build the habit of, and you get you get an end date, and you're trying to create a number of workouts to build that habit of going to the gym in that amount of time to give you something. That's what he's talking about by challenges. Or you could have a fat loss challenge or a strength gain challenge or any kind of challenge.
Yes,
that's what he's talking about there.
Yeah, so the 100 workout challenge we're going to start in July, but I think that the thing that's cool about that is it's about doing. It's not as much about achievement as about doing, just to get you doing.
I agree. Yeah.
That's a good one. And that's why
we're going to do a 50 workout challenge starting July 1st. The reasoning being and we're going to throw a huge party on that day beforehand. If you want to fly into Iowa, you can. I'll come pick you up. But that's the halfway point of 2017.
Yeah.
So it's we got to get refocused to take on whatever goals we set for 2017. Yeah. It worked out really well. It's on a Saturday. It's July 1st. Yeah. Whatever.
Cool.
But I really like the 50 workout challenges. I mean, there's some of these that people do where they do these fat loss challenges where they try to fit into a different pair of clothes.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when someone just miserably fails out at that, and then they try to put on that pair of clothes? I just couldn't bring myself to do that, with somebody. So we try to do habit-based challenges like the 50 workout or the 100 workout challenges. Yeah. So they have, and so that it's not just, so it's, by the end of the time, they can be like, oh my God, that's 100 workouts that I did in this short amount of time. Like this is what's possible that you can create.
Right.
But is that one of the main ways, like when you get to adherence, is that one of the, are there other strategies besides challenges that you use, or is that the kind of one of the main ones?
No, I mean, if we're talking about consistency and adherence, we really need people to commit to when they're going to come work out, how often, if they're committing to eating, and I don't care what the commitment is. Let's say they're going to make sure that they eat one salad every single day, so they can just focus on that one meal, and that might just be the start of it. And then they start to, build on that one habit, because if they're eating one salad and they do that for 2 weeks straight, then adding another salad is no longer going to be a big hill to climb, because that habit's already there. So adding another one in, if that's what the next goal is, then that's an easy step now. rather than asking for 3 salads a day at the start, which we know eventually they're going to fail at.
Yeah, because salads are gonna. I mean, salads might be really good right now, but eventually,
yeah, and
food if you have every meal is gonna eventually suck.
Exactly. So it's just picking and it depends on the person. If someone's not getting enough protein, it could just be adding more protein at breakfast. I mean, it doesn't need to be a complete overhaul, and then we can hold them accountable to that because they're going to track it. That's another thing, to track it. If we're going to help manage what they're trying to accomplish, then we want them to track that as well. So if it's just that one meal that we're tracking, then we can ask how they're doing with that. And if they're struggling, then we can either do less, or if they're doing great, then we add more when they're ready for it.
And what you guys don't know is like I'm actually picking up a lot from this, but what you guys don't know is nutrition is probably the hardest part to adherence because we can't be there with you. So there's 168 hours in a week. We're with you for maybe 5 of those hours. That still leaves 163 hours that you can eat just awful, and you cannot sleep and you cannot do, so you can't do, so if you're not following your recovery methods, you're not following your nutrition, you're not doing any sort of strategy around mindset. Like we have a certain amount of power over the strength and conditioning side. Outside of that, we're trying to build as much inspiration in that 1 hour that we have with you to last that whole 24 hours. It's so a strategy comes into play pretty big here. And do you guys have like a journal, or what do you guys do?
So, I mean, yeah, we do have a nutrition journal. And the way that works is if we're shooting for a certain percentage of adherence, if they're starting at 60%, then if we wanted to get to 62% the following week, then it's easy if they're tracking what they're doing, because we could just say, well, all you need to do is add in one more good meal and get rid of one of those bad meals. Now you're going to be at 62%. You don't need to get to 80%. Each week is better than it was last week, and the small steps add up quickly.
Yeah, so, definitely. Yeah, like the person who like takes the 100 workout challenge that's so scared to death that they'll never be able to complete 100 workouts, and that like even if they failed miserably at it and only got 60,
right?
And, like if we tracked the months before that, I bet you they didn't get 60 in that amount of time. Like
exactly, yeah. And also if people are conscious, if they made a strategy for going away for the weekend, and they come back and said, "Oh, I didn't do that well," but I said, "Did you do better than you would have if you didn't make that strategy?" And the answer is always yes. Rather than just going in with no strategy and not being mindful about anything they're doing, they just go for the nothing approach, where the other approach was good enough, and that's all we're looking for, just mindfulness.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of gets into like if you're not planning, then you're planning to fail. But like any plan at all is better than nothing.
Right.
Like that's what we try to cram into is like you got to have some kind of plan walking into this. Like even if it sucks, it's still something. You want some plan walking into your trip to Las Vegas, where there's just apparently I've never been to Las Vegas. It's not really a place that I don't know why that came up to mind, but apparently there's just food everywhere. Cruises where there's just food everywhere. People are like, how am I going to maintain this? How am I going to do this? Well, you got to have a strategy. You got to have something walking in there. Even if it's just you're going to drink 2 glasses of water before you consume anything.
Right.
So you have some of that satiety.
I staying on that subject. I had one of our newer clients. One of her big issues is that she cooks throughout the week a lot because she's a nanny for. Not a nanny, I'm sorry, but she's a caretaker. So she cooks for the people she's caretaking for. So when it comes to the weekend, she doesn't want to cook. So she ends up eating out the whole weekend. So one of my strategies was, okay, we'll just eat one less meal out this weekend. That's it.
Yeah. Sometimes usually simplicity is where the genius is anyway.
Right. So and I know she's going to be able to do that.
They just complicate this stuff out so far that they jumble themselves up into they just can't even keep it straight.
Right. Yeah. So exactly. And then, then you can work on strategies where you don't have to do a lot of preparation and cooking over the weekend. Just think of ways you could still eat healthy out.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I totally understand. What are some of the best ones that you've heard? Like the complication stories? 'Cause, like, I really wish I would have started a book when I first started doing this.
About what they struggle with. I think one of the biggest ones is stress nowadays, because people get home and then all of a sudden I need that glass of wine, or I need that, and it's usually after they eat dinner.
Yeah.
Where they finally can just relax and de-stress, and all of a sudden they're craving the sweets, they're craving a glass of wine, or some people may have a salty kind of crunchy. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things people struggle with a lot. That's one of the things that they really struggle with. So having strategies for that are really important, because I think the big thing is they're kind of solving it themselves when they tell me that, because it's like, that it's happening, when it happens. So now you can see that it's going to happen. So let's come up with a strategy to overcome that. Now, what are we going to do the next time it happens? It's like I forget where I got this analogy from, but it's like a wave. Okay, the wave starts out big, and if you ride the wave, eventually it just crashes and goes away. So we call it riding the wave. So just ride that wave, and eventually that wave's going to eventually crash down to the shore, and it's going to be gone. Sometimes you're going to crash and fall, but sometimes you're going to make it. So it's either doing something that is going to get your mind off what you want, or substitute it with something else. If you're going to crave it. But usually those cravings, you give it 15 to 20. I'll say give it 15 to 20 minutes. If it's still there, do it.
Yeah, that's what I say too. Like if you're having just an unrealistic desire to eat the Twinkie or whatever, I keep on coming up with all these things that I don't even like. But you're having to eat the ice cream, whatever it is. I set a 45-minute timer. And when it goes off, you can eat all the ice cream you want. But at the end of that 45 minutes, you never want the ice cream.
Right.
It was
that moment of weakness.
Yeah.
You got to get through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and if you succumb to that, there's nothing there's nothing wrong with having that ice cream.
Right.
Really, the ice cream isn't the problem.
Right. Yeah. It's emotional eating, and when you're emotionally eating, you can't satisfy it. There's no satisfaction for it. So the ice cream's not going to solve it, but that's probably why you want to eat. That's probably why you want it. And the emotional response is usually stress.
Yeah.
I find nowadays people are moving and going crazy all day long, and then finally when they get home, some people are so busy they forget to eat throughout the day.
Yeah.
And it's no wonder you're craving sweets and salty stuff at the end of the day. It's your body saying
Yeah, it's saying feed me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What's your position on hunger? Like hunger? Don't like hunger? Is there a place for hunger?
Hunger's fine. You just have to. It's kind of more of a timeline for me. I mean, just so immediately after you eat, you should be about 80% full. Within 1 to 2 hours, you should start to feel like you could eat something, and right around that, 3 to 4 hour mark where you're feeling the grumbling in your stomach and you feel like I need to eat something, that's when you should eat. But if you go beyond the point where you're starving, now you've gotten too far, because that's usually when you're going to ravage the cabinets for the salt chips and the sweets and stuff like that. So, yeah, we give our clients a hunger timeline, how they should feel. So, because you need to know that, hunger is fine. You shouldn't always be full, and you shouldn't eat till you're full. So I think, but I think one of the other things too is sometimes we don't teach people how to eat. So tell them to eat slowly, right? Because you can't eat till you're 80% full if you don't eat slowly.
Yeah, because by the time you're already at 120% when you feel 80.
Right. So eating slow, and then eat till you're 80% full, and then you can start to worry about what you're eating.
Yeah. So you focus on amount of food up front, and then type of food on the back on secondary.
Well, I think what I would focus on first is teaching people how to eat. So let's say they are eating. If someone's eating, a Big Mac every day, then eat a half a Big Mac on one day, or eat it slowly till you're 80% full, so you won't end up eating the whole thing. It could be that. It could be just eat slowly, eat till you're 80% full, because if we don't teach people how to eat, they could still eat something that's healthy really fast and still overeat and still be in the same problem they were before.
Right. So wait. So are you saying like if you ate a Big Mac,
Mhm.
would it take you to 80%?
I'd say eat it till you're 80% full. Yeah.
Would it take you to 80%? Would you get full on? Would you get
I
80%?
would never. I'd eat it slowly.
I haven't had a big. I don't even know what a Big Mac looks like, but
I wouldn't.
I'm also
I'm just using that as an example. I haven't had a Big Mac since I was probably like 15.
yeah. I don't. I have no idea how long it's been, but I
But
can.
that could be the less approach, that. But if we're trying to teach someone to eat, how to eat rather than what to eat, because if you teach them what to eat and you haven't taught them how to eat, then we're kind of putting the cart in front of the horse sometimes. So if we got someone who's eating fast, they're still going to have the cravings after they eat, or they're still going to eat till they're too full, so they're still going to overeat.
Yeah.
So the philosophy, if it's someone who already eats till they're 80% full, then obviously I want to take care of nutrient deficiency first, but I'd rather because I think it's easier to tell somebody to eat slowly than it is to say change what you're eating.
No, that's a good point. Yeah. And I mean, it's always got to be tailored depending on the person. I mean, you get a person who's 5'4" and 400 pounds. Like, we don't need to be focused on, micronutrients.
Right.
That's obviously not the problem.
Right.
Or not the focus, I guess I should say. Maybe problem's not the word, but what was I going to ask? Oh, I had a question for you. It's based off something that you just said, and I don't remember what it was now. That's a bummer. What about the vegan thing? How do you tackle that one with people?
Well, I'm going to support anybody in whatever they want to do. I always base everything on outcome. So if someone wants to do some crazy diet, I'm going to support them through it, knowing that in the end I'm going to always ask them, how's that working out for you? So if someone's vegan, and they're not getting the results they want, then, I'll try my best to help them how to get proteins and stuff. But I mean, a lot of times with those people, they aren't getting enough protein, and then they're going to see how it affects the results. I'm not going to change what they want to do. If someone's not going to eat animal protein or anything like that, I'm not going to be able to force someone to do that. But I am going to make sure they tie in what the outcome is based on what they're doing. And realistically, this is what you're going to need to do if you want the outcome to start going toward the way you want it to be. So even if it's a diet, I've had plenty of people that wanted to go on a crazy diet, and eventually they got off it because I support them through it, saying, okay, we're going to measure it. We're going to measure every couple of weeks, and we're going to see what's happening. And when they found out it's not working for them, then they could start to use other strategies that'll get them to their goals.
Right. Yeah. Like we had somebody do the juicing diet for the longest time, and it was just not at a stage that was probably very healthy for her. And,
right.
Yeah, and it was a lot like your ride the wave thing. It was just like, she is gung ho about this. It's going to happen. I guess I'm just going to try to mitigate it as best I can with her. But that was a very interesting time because I wanted to be like, that's stupid.
Yeah. And, a lot of times, a lot of times when people are doing that, they're losing weight, but when I'm putting them on this InBody scale, they're losing muscle, so their body fat percentage actually is not changing.
Right.
You start to see that they're
starving themselves. I mean, like you're just not. I mean, you would have to drink so much of that juice stuff. It would be insane. Like, I mean, you basically have to almost have like a continuous flow going through you. You'd be overhydrated. You'd be you'd be sick.
And all it is it's just a sneaky way to get people to go into a caloric deficit, and it's a pretty extreme caloric deficit. So of course they're going to see results right away, but it's not going to be results that are sustainable for health or performance. So those all start to go out the window.
Yeah, definitely. Well, cool. Any other? I mean, we're coming up on it. I try to get off of these things at 1 o'clock. I usually want to expand them out, but I know you got stuff to do too. Any other words of wisdom or things to leave behind? Or not behind, but to drop on the page before you jet?
Just when, I think what we were discussing earlier, when it comes to consistency, you need to be held accountable for something. So whether you're going to commit to more, which could be like we were talking about the 100 workout challenge, which is going to be more about doing. So just getting yourself to do something first rather than losing weight, focusing on losing weight or eating better. could be the trigger that keeps you going. If you're committing to less, that could be something like we also talked about. Committing to less, instead of saying I'm just going to eliminate sugar completely out of my diet, it could just be trying to eat one good meal a day, which will eliminate a little bit of sugar out of your diet at once. So, or you can do both: commit to the 100 workout challenge, and then commit to that one good meal a day. But there's small steps, and then you can start to build off those small successes, because it is that snowball effect. And always remember that it's not a race. It's a lifestyle. So you want to be able to make sure that whatever habits that you're going to instill is something that you're going to be able to continue with for the rest of your life, because that's what's going to lead to those long-term changes and that long-term consistency and adherence.
Yeah, and the life that the one that you want to live versus the one that like what are you really doing this for anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
Getting clear on that really clears up a lot of stuff. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, I mean, you nailed it, man. But anyway, if you guys are on here, who's ever watching this, whether you're watching this in the future and we're time travelers, or you're on here right now, please take the time, hit share. Thanks, Tim, for being here, man. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we're going to do this some other time, but thanks, man.
Okay. All right.
Well,
take care.
We'll see you later. Thanks.
Bye.